I'm embarrassed. I had probably 50 different invitations to see the movie Atlas Shrugged when it came out. It was one of the most influential books in my current political DNA, my current intellectual DNA. They made a movie about it. And it was one of the, I believe it's an independent film, fabulously successful, and it's now come out on DVD, and a number of you have seen it, and now that it's out on DVD, I'm going to see it. And the producer of that fine film, Harmon Kaslow, is our guest. Harmon, thanks for being with us.
Hey, good to be speaking with you, Michael. And you know what? I'm going to get you a DVD in the next week.
Oh, good.
I'm going to get you before anyone else can buy it in stores on November 8th. Not because you denied all those great invitations, but I really think that it'll be something you'll want to talk about, and I think your listeners will be curious to get your impressions of what we put out, not only the movie, but also all the little goodies you can get on the DVD itself.
Well, and let me tell you this, Harmon, if however many copies you send me, anything more than the one I get, we'll give out on air and we'll make a big deal. I want to make sure that we help promote this. But tell us, Harmon, about the movie, how it came to be. What was the original idea? How did this begin to get together? Because I've been involved on 5 different films, and I know it's a difficult thing to go from concept to fundraising to filming to editing, to the whole show. So tell me about that.
Well, first off, the gentleman that's really responsible for it, and you nailed it in your introduction. I mean, he ultimately had to do it, independently, really in the spirit of individualism, which is, one of the themes of the book is John Aglioloro. He got the rights from the estate almost 20 years ago, and it was at a time when a survey had come out about the book, and it had asked people, tell us what books have influenced your lives, and Atlas Shrugged showed up on the list as number 2, right behind the Bible. So, as you can imagine, doing your own projects, John says, okay, I'm going to get the book, I'm going to go out to Hollywood, here's a very influential book, hundreds of thousands of copies are sold every year, it's been around forever, everyone knows about it, it's a great title, it's a fabulous American novel, and the doors got shut in his face. Year after year after year, and really at the risk of the rights lapsing, he made the critical decision saying, you know what, I feel a responsibility to Ayn Rand. I feel that I'm the one that should carry this book and translate and adapt this book into being a motion picture, and that's what we started in April of 2010. And about a year later, we made it to theaters on April 15th, 2011. And now we're excited about what's coming up on November 8th, which is the DVD release. If your listeners want to pre-order, they can. The special editions at our website.
Where do they get that, Harmon?
It's at atlasshruggedmovie.com/DVD. But it's
that's easy to remember, Harmon.
Yeah,
you made it real nice. You got a little Tumblr address.
Yeah.
What's that?
We improved on that one. During the promotion of the movie was Atlas Shrugged Part 1, but now we have atlasshruggedmovie.com, the /DVD for the special edition. And then it'll be in all the major retailers, the standard edition, also on November 8th.
And from start to finish, how long was this project?
Well, we shot for about 5 weeks in and around Los Angeles. We went to Denver for some of the scenes. Obviously, if you're familiar with the story, you know that some of this had to be done with some visual effects, and those are also done, locally in Los Angeles. And then, the editing process took us all the way really till February. We were hoping to have it done on her birthday, February 2nd, but it was finally got completed near the end of February. We premiered our trailer at CPAC. We got an enormous amount of support out of the Tea Party and Freedom Works and a number of those organizations. And that was the date that we put our trailer up on YouTube, and now we've exceeded more than 2 million views. And I think what that tells you is that there's a huge population that wants to know more about Atlas Shrugged and a huge population that embraces its message.
Tell us, Harmon Kaslow, am I pronouncing that correctly?
You're perfectly.
All right. Harmon Kaslow is the producer of the movie Atlas Shrugged, which will be out November 8th on DVD. You can pre-order that And we're going to post that website where you can do that at michaelberry.com, and I'll give it a few more times. But for someone who's not read the book, kind of give us the 2-minute cliff notes on what exactly it is.
Well, I mean, the plot line is very simple. Really, it's what would happen to the world when its best minds go on strike. And when they talk about going on strike, not talking about what a union might do, but it's talking about if all the innovators, and just imagine the Steve Jobs of the world, the people that are literally changing our lives with their vision, decide that they've had enough. They've had enough of the government interfering with what they're doing. They've had enough of bureaucrats interfering, lazy businessmen, all these sorts of things, and just decide, you know what, we're going to vanish. And what essentially happens through the course of this story is that the motor that's driving this country slowly begins to sputter and ultimately, almost comes to a near standstill. And, it's really eye-opening, and it's very prophetic, because if you look at what's happening today, and you realize this is a book written 50 years ago, and the things that are discussed in that book are happening today. It just, it seems just incredibly relevant to its message, to what's going on, and can be informative and inspiring for people to pick it up and learn, what could possibly happen.
It's interesting how many times I heard the phrase, "Who is John Galt?" or I would read the phrase, "Who is John Galt?" before I'd read the book and had no idea the meaning of that. Explain that to people who have not read the book but may have heard that phrase.
Well, I mean, John Galt, the meaning to that question, many people can ascribe many different meanings. His message, John Galt's message is, love your life, don't sacrifice your values, and society should respect the rights of the individual, against socialization. And throughout the book, we begin to learn that, a wide variety of people in the population are uttering these words. Who is John Galt? And it begins to ask the question. It begins to take on its own meaning. And I think for a lot of people who read the book, it creates a very deep connection with the message of the book. And in fact, one of the things that we have included on our DVD, we did it as part of the promotion of the film, was we asked people to send in a little video clip of saying, "I am John Galt." And we ended up getting clips from politicians, from federal judges, from young kids to older adults. I think we received nearly 1,500
can you hold
Sure.
for just a moment? We're going to hold Harmon Kaslow over. He's the producer of the movie Atlas Shrugged. We always say we wanted movies to reflect the values that we have and not of Alec Baldwin or Matt Damon. Go to the Facebook page during the break or send me an email at michaelberry.com. If you have a question for Harmon, I'll get to a few of them. The movie is Atlas Shrugged. It's made its way around independent theaters around the country, and now it'll be available on DVD here shortly, and we're going to, of course, give away some on air when that happens. Harmon Kaslow is our guest. He's the producer of that film. You may have said it already, but how many theaters did the film open in?
We opened in nearly 300 on April 15th. And I think at its peak, we were in about 500 theaters across the country.
And you didn't have a major distributor, right?
No, I mean, this was a movie again. John Aguilar did not really get the support of Hollywood when it came time to get this thing produced. There was really not going to see anything when it came time to get it distributed. So, we set out. We did it ourselves. We probably spent less than 1% of what Hollywood normally spends on the marketing of a movie. And really, in our minds, we're going, here's a movie. It has a message that is incredibly compelling and incredibly important. And we got a lot of support from groups who have a connection with the philosophy of the book. I mean, for example, Tea Partiers integrated the Atlas Shrugged into their tax day rallies. And we averaged more than $5,000 per screen, which is, relatively speaking, considered a home run in Hollywood.
Well, and, regardless who the person is, you'd have to argue that it's at least one of the 10 most influential writings of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
And the fact that you've put it to first time it's been done, right? The book was written in '57. Has there been a movie made of it before?
No, it wasn't. And it's a very challenging book. And I was thinking about that just a few days ago, going, I tried to figure out, well, why would it have taken so long? And I was thinking that we really needed to get to kind of this point in time where you can access visual effects on a much more affordable basis than you could, maybe 5-10 years ago. And to really do justice to this book, I mean, in a lot of respects, it's a science fiction book. Where there's lots of things where she's talking about technologies and innovations that didn't exist at the time, and to really update it. And we set the movie in 2016. I mean, we really needed the power of computer generated images to be able to do justice to such a magnificent piece of work.
It's interesting. I was reading during the break. Atlas Shrugged debuted in 1957. On the New York Times bestseller list at number 6, 3 days after its publication. It remained on the list for 21 weeks, peaking at number 4, and yet it's probably selling more today than it ever has. But it says Atlas Shrugged was generally disliked by critics despite being a popular success. The book was dismissed by some as, quote, an homage to greed. That's sad. That's sad that's the best they could do.
No, absolutely. And you think about, for example, what's going on right now in Wall Street, right, where you have people doing all these various protests, and you try to imagine, what would the characters in Atlas say? Would the heroes, ask themselves, if they're protesting over greed, over an industry's desire to make money ethically, not fraudulently. And if their protests were based on that premise, they would probably support it. On the other hand, if the protest is about fraud, and there's no doubt a lot of it exists on Wall Street, or government corruption or influence, then they would think that the protest would have a legitimate purpose.
Harmon Kaslow is the producer of the movie Atlas Shrugged, which will be available on DVD shortly. Suzanne writes, great movie. Is there going to be more than just the one movie? I heard there are a total of 3 releases every year until 2013, and I wasn't clear on that. There's reference to part 1. What is the deal on it?
Well, the book itself is split into 3 parts. So we did the first part of the book. It's about a third of the book. We're very excited about doing the second part of the book and look at starting production in 2012. 2012 is going to be a big year, right? It's an election year, and really even the near-term direction of this country is going to be dictated by whoever's elected in November. And our aspiration is to have Atlas Shrugged Part 2 in theaters in October of 2012. I'm sure a lot of people will be talking about it. It'd be a great opportunity for them to continue the journey through this great novel.
Now, have you begun filming on that already?
No, that won't start until 2012. So people have time now to go watch the movie. It'll be out on the DVD November 8th, and become familiar with it, make a decision if they want to read the book and read ahead, or they can wait till we get Part 2 into theaters for them.
It'll be interesting to see what this does to sales of the book Atlas Shrugged. It's certainly not going to hurt. I would expect this would occasion a resurgence of interest in that book.
Oh, no, it absolutely did. When the movie came out in April, it jumped up on Amazon's list. I think the highest it reached there was the number 3 or something along those lines. I know that Barnes & Noble sold out in most of the cities where the movie was playing, and the Ayn Rand Institute told me that they sold 60,000 copies of the book on that particular weekend. So it did what John and I had hoped it would do, which is really inspire people to want to go look at the book, because you got to really spend time. It's a fascinating story, and the movie worked on that level. Wow.
All right. Harmon Kaslow, thanks a lot.
Well, you're very welcome. Make certain if your listeners are interested in pre-ordering, atlasshruggedmovie.com/DVD. If they want to get the regular edition, that'll be in all the big retail stores on November 8th.
Okay, and I'll look forward to my personal copy. Thank you.
And I look forward to you talking about it.
Yes, indeed. We'll be, however many you send, all but one will be given away on air. I can promise you that.
Michael, we're great that you're partnering with us. Thanks so much.
All right. There you have it. The movie is Atlas Shrugged. The website is atlasshruggedmovie.com/DVD. Andrew's also going to post that to the website if you're driving, and of course, shouldn't be writing while you're driving.